is the Rangers Journal now.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. You are watching the Rangers Journal. My name is Doug, and this is the Lowdown, a special Europa League second leg edition of the Lowdown tonight. You may have noticed that I'm not alone for a change on the Lowdown. I'm welcoming Dylan to the show. Welcome, Dylan. Thanks for joining us.
How you doing, mate? It's good to be back. I'm looking forward to Thursday.
Yep, it should be a very interesting game. Obviously, easily the biggest game of Rangers season thus far. The only game that we have left that has any meaning in terms of silverware or really any kind of prestige at all. So a big game for the lads to go into. Obviously just come off a match where we had a very interesting lineup choice and an interesting group of players, and that kind of really followed the same kind of patterns that we've seen. Another 2-0 lead to the opposition, and then a fun second leg fight back. But we are here to focus on the Europa League ties. We're going to go straight into it tonight, getting Dylan's opinions on a few things as we go, and doing a couple of things a little bit differently to normal as well. So we'll start off, as we always do, with the current form. As I just said, Rangers coming off a draw with Aberdeen, 2-2. Not really a game that will have any bearing on the Thursday's match, given the changes that were made to the lineup. 2 wins, a draw, and a loss in the matches prior. A lot of similar patterns in the domestic games. And it is just really hard to draw comparisons to how we play domestically to how we do abroad. And we will touch on that a little bit in the next section as well. Dylan, when it comes to looking at what could happen, I think we've probably got more chance of drawing parallels from Athletic Club and their performances. Theirs do mirror their Europa League slightly more, although they are, like us, playing better in Europe, I think, slightly. They have struggled a lot to score goals in recent matches. As you can see, 3 0-0 draws in the run-up to this game, although they did get 3 goals. There's a little bit of maybe something we can take from that. Is that something that you're hoping that we'll ultimately see from them again in this next tie?
Well, I think so, Doug. I think I wouldn't say they were in a slump, right, because they're a very good team. But when you look at the goals scored, I think they've only scored sort of something like 49 goals in the league campaign this season. So it's not like they're blowing teams away with scoring goals. And we've scored something like 68 in the same amount of games, roughly. So I think the 3-1, I know they made 9 changes at the weekend. So I think that's maybe just fresh legs, people trying to impress, people trying to get into the match for obviously us going over there. So I think that's maybe why the upturn in results have changed. But the pattern of 0-0s or 1-0s or 2-1s, I don't think it will be far from that on Thursday night.
Yeah, I think we'll have another tight game going into that. I think we'll see a lot of similar traits from ourselves. Obviously, this is an away tie, so the impetus is a little bit more with Athletic Club. They've obviously are the favourites. They've got a lot of key players. So we'll have a wee look at some of the things we've learned from that first tie, as opposed to, as I say, looking at the tactics, which I did for the first leg. So if you do want to have a look at some of that, you can catch that on the Lowdown for the first leg. But we're going to have a wee look at, as I say, some of the things we picked up from the first leg. Shout out to Dave, who did the initial tactical analysis on this, and we're going to base what we're talking about today on what he's picked out. So the first thing we're looking at, obviously, we had to make sacrifices pretty much from the get-go after a proper red card, putting us down to the 10 men. It really meant playing compact, being really careful about our shape, about our lines, which I think you can see here. Really, the players are keeping their lines really well there. Did you find, that especially given our defensive frailties at home, were you impressed or surprised at how well we managed to maintain this in that game?
I think going by that still there, Doug, and like you say, credit to Dave. He's picked out a good couple of stills. Going by that still there, you can see the distances between the 2 lines are very, very short. So there's no much space here to play in between. It's not like we're playing in this particular still at the edge of our box, although that did tend to happen. but the distances between each player there, if the ball does go there, they're all there to jump on it. So I think it was a well-worked reshuffle, and I think the players realised that they were really going to be under the caution and worked hard for each other. They left space out in the wings, but then once one player went out, the other player dropped in. So I think they've done really, really well. But I also think that Athletic Club could have probably done a wee bit more as well. And I know that's probably down to us. They couldn't really unlock the defence per se, but I think they could have offered a wee bit more, if I'm honest. And I was expecting a wee bit more from on the night.
Yeah, point you've made there sort of really takes us nicely onto the next still. We can see here very similar. That first still was about 19 minutes in. This one's about 23 minutes. You can see again there, similar strong lines, 2 banks of 4, and Desser sitting back there. But you can see where we've got the man on the ball in the foreground there. You've got Hadji coming out to him. You've got Bailey Rice, who's tracked a runner, who is in between the lines. And just at the very edge of the screen, you can see Yilmaz pushing out to cover his runner there. So, any particular points you brought from that?
So this is where I think it will change on when we play them away from home. So see, they're right back now. He's got the ball at Hadji's pressing. See if he pops it out wide to Yilmaz's player. I think it's Inaki Williams. If you look at Raskin, the runner's in front of him, and the runner's actually goal side. So if that happens quick enough, if it goes out wide, straight into that big space, then through the back behind Tav, they can cut us wide open. That's my fear. Although they didn't really try and do it for me, and I think it was due because they weren't very comfortable. Ibrox was quite an atmosphere, and the players did work hard. I'm not saying they'll get a goal from that, but I think we'll see a lot more of that intricate trying to play through a lot quicker one-touch passing than what we did see at Ibrox. But no, Bailey Rice is covering in, Hadji's pressing. Even with 10 men, we're sort of trying to keep them away from our goal as much as we can, and Yilmaz is quite high there as well. So it's good. It is good and done very, very well. But like I said, if we do go to 10 men, fingers crossed we don't. Next game, then it'll be much.
Trying proper can't play, so
I know exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a great point about the sort of the 1-2 and intricate stuff, because that's what led to Proper getting his red card, really.
Yeah.
They had a quick little interchange of play, and I think it was one of the Williams that was on the ball at the time, and a quick bit of footwork and he'd bamboozled them. So yeah, definitely something we need to keep an eye out for. So we want to look at this still from 34 minutes in. So this shows that the midfield shape is pulled a little bit more in this one. You've got, obviously, they're at a bit of an angle with the ball having or looking like it's going to get further advanced. You've got two athletic players trying to double up on the right hand side, and so you've got Dessers obviously dropping in to be the one covering the ball rather than one of the midfielders. And obviously the obvious thing that this shows is with that you've got absolutely no one then up front, which then makes breaking really difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you can see here that the midfield's been pulled about a wee bit. The biggest thing I take from this is if you look at where their striker is, everybody's sort of in front of him. You can see that the wide players are wide, but I think we're allowing that to happen. We want them to try and force them wide because we're maybe comfortable enough to deal with the crosses. We don't want them coming through the middle, and that's what you've seen at the start with the red card. So here, you can see the defensive line solid. There's a lot of space out on the left-hand side here, but if the ball does go there, we're comfortable enough to go and deal with that. What we don't want is that striker playing on the back of Balogun and someone else running into his space, then that's a problem. And I think, like we said, we kept them in front of us all night. They did have chances here and there, but we forced them wide and we dealt with the crosses.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely the tactic I did. And the wingers love to cut in, so keeping them as far away from the middle of the pitch, I think, is the best. Not only because they are dangerous. Obviously, both Williams love to cut in and score, but like you say, if they like to play central with they've got really good midfield runners as well that can then lead to that interchange play that we touched on earlier. So obviously, one of the things we're mentioning there is the lack of players in advanced positions because we're having to sit deeper, and you can really see that in this still here. So this is dropped back again to about 20 minutes here. This ball literally came from Tavernier winning the ball just at the edge of the 6-yard box. And I can't remember if it's either him or Kelly knocks it forward. You can see Cherney just outside the centre circle. He's on the ball. And we've got players breaking. So the midfielders that are breaking are all kind of in their rough positions. Dessers has moved out wide a bit to obviously keep the place a bit stretched. Give Cherney the chance to sort of pass to him on the wing. But the obvious problem, we've got no one in the centre there. You've got that big open central space with no one in it. If he does potentially pass it to Dessers, you've got a hell of a lot of space to make up for the other players. If someone's going to make that up, is there anything else you want to kind of add to that thought?
Yeah, and this is where I think that we need to be a wee bit more clever here, right? If you look at all the arrows and all their body positions, they're all running forward. And for me, so if he plays into Raskin, it's fine. If Raskin gets by that player who's jockeying, then it's a 3v2 or a 3v3, right? That's fine. But for me, what I'd want to hear is I want Dessers to go and hit the touchline here, because it then stretches that defender out with him. Then I want Hadji to go and hit the centre circle, and then Bailey can come out. So just that wee different angles or runs, the defence won't know how to cope with it. And that's what I think we need to be a wee bit more clever and a wee bit more brave. There, it looks fine. Everybody's running straight. It's easy to defend against. You know who the most dangerous man is there. But if Dessers is dragging that centre defender wide and Hadji's coming inside, are they going to leave him? Are they going to go with him? They don't really know what to do because the players are making the different types of runs. So, again, if we do get into this opportunity, that's what I'd like to see. A wee bit more invention and going forward.
And hopefully, as you say, if we've got 11 men on the pitch, that'll make that easier to do. So,
yeah,
definitely something to look out for, because I do think counter-attacks will be key for us in this game, similar to as they have all through the campaign. We've got a number of goals. Obviously, the Cherney goal against Fenerbahce is a great example. If you get a turnover and a quick out ball, then we can get a lot of joy from that with players like Cherney if they're on form. Okay, so the next thing we like to look at on the lowdown then is danger men. These are the two that I picked out prior to the first leg. Say the Williams brothers, both well-known players. Inaki, the older of the two. Nico's been linked with a lot of big teams to potentially move to. I thought both played really well in the first leg, although not as well as they can. And I think that's kind of been a bit of a theme of their of Athletic lately. They're not quite getting the best out of these guys as they had been in the first half of the season, especially with their main striker who's been injured recently, although he is back. Nico there, most dribbles, most chances created in that first leg. He did, however, also have the most lost duels. So I think that kind of shows that we did help marshal him. Tavernier in particular, obviously, was on that side.
I thought Tav dealt him really, really well, to be honest with you, mate. That night, I thought when the other player came on who started to cut inside, he gave Tav more problems, but I thought he dealt with Nico Williams really, really well. And as we know, I think Inaki Williams, it's come out that he's injured for this second leg. So again, it's a bit of a bonus to us.
Absolutely, yeah. If he's unable to make it, then that definitely helps. He's the older of the brothers, a very experienced player. In addition to being a lot of quality, he did get the one of the most touches in our box in that first leg. And I think I'm right in saying it was him that was on the ball when Proper was made a faithful tackle as well. So lots to look out for. If you had to pick, well, I say obviously if Inaki's unlikely to make it, so I mean Nico's likely to probably be one of the big danger men. Are there any other players at all that you would pick out? Or Williams the main guy for you?
I think the two are the main threats, mate, to be honest with you. The big striker who played the first leg, he actually done okay, I thought. It was unlucky not to get a goal. I thought he slid in and just put it by the post. But listen, it's in the home ground. They're going to come with their tails up, so we just need to be on our toes the full game.
Absolutely. And on that point, next up is looking at who we think will be the ones having to be on their toes. So I'll put together an 11 here for us to have a wee chat about. I've kind of deliberately gone with a slightly more attacking option than I think might actually occur. It was confirmed today that Fernandes has pulled a hamstring, so he's not going to feature, though I don't think he would have anyway. We're still a bit, at the time recording, up in the air in terms of Ridwan Yilmaz. There are rumours that the reason he got subbed off was because he'd tweaked something, and he didn't obviously feature in the side against Aberdeen. So not really sure if he's available or not. If he is available, I would probably expect him to play, and I would probably have him in that right back or right wing back position. But siding on the side of caution, if he's not going to be available, I've gone with Barron there for the defensive solidity, similar to how we played Yilmaz sort of in the advanced left wing role when we wanted to make that side more defensively solid in some of our previous matches. And bringing Tav in, obviously Proper can't play, and I don't think it's a game for risking Enciala, who'd probably be my next choice if it wasn't for the injury to Sterling. So bringing Tav in, I think having Barron, the other reason I think Barron would be good there is the thing that you lose when you bring, or you lose a bit of when you bring Tav into centre back, is obviously his attacking prowess, which is still probably his best attributes. So this would allow him to potentially have the freedom when we're on the ball to push up a bit, and Barron be able to cover for him. I think the other change, Diomande, is an obvious one. I think he tends to play better in the European games, so he's a shoe-in, I think, for coming in. And then I think the other choice I've gone for that's maybe slightly unorthodox is playing Dessers and Egeman. I think there's, as I say, people often talk about Dessers and Egeman as an either-or. I think if you've got a game that you have to win, I think there's potential to play both. Dessers at the moment is statistically the most likely to score, despite the fact that it'll take him 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chances to do it. But Egeman has the better hold-up play, which I think we saw that when he came on in that first leg. So I've kind of gone for a best of both. In reality, maybe you want to again be more defensively solid, and so you maybe pick Hadji on that left side. He's been putting in some really good shifts defensively lately. So that would then leave you with the kind of who to play up front. So I'll start with your thoughts on what team you would play on that point of either or up front.
Let me try and run through it quite quick for you, mate. So if I'm going to play the 5 at the back, right, I'm putting Tav at right wing back, and if Yilmaz, if he's fit, or Jeffy, and then my midfield 3 would be, or back 3, sorry, would be Suter, Ballard in the middle, NCL on the left, right? I think he gives you that good outball with his left foot. I think he's very, very good with that. So, but that's if he plays a back. That's what I want, a back 5. I think under 10 men, we showed that we could cope with a back 4, and we need to win the game. So what I would do is I would just match them. I would go 4-3-3, not 4-2-3-1. That's what they play. I would go 4-3-3. So I would have a flat midfield 3. Your back 4 would be O'Kelly, Tav, Suter, Ballard, and Jeffy or Yilmaz. Your midfield 3, I would have Raskin as the deepest, but not as a triangle. Just he's a holder. He's a middle. Mm-hmm. I would have Diomande on the right. I would have Hadji on the left in my midfield 3. I thought Hadji done really, really well against them at Ibrox. Yep. He's also scored a last-minute winner. I think he'll be in form. I think he'll be itching to play. And he works hard for me. He works hard all the time. Yep, so that's definitely midfield 3 to cope with it, because you play a 4-2-3-1. So that matches up to your midfield. You've then got your 2 wingers. And this is where it gets tricky. I would have Cherny on the right to match up with their right left back. I would have Egeman or Danilo up front. I think personally Danilo's the best at holding the ball up, but he's not really kicked a ball this season for us. But I think if you're struggling to get out, I think he's the most technically gifted striker we've got that can hold the ball up and pop it off. But understand he's not been playing. So again, Egeman's been in a wee bit of form recently. Scored against Celtic, scored against Aberdeen. Could have had 2. He starts on me. And on the left, and this is going to shock some people, I would maybe go with Bajrami. I thought when he moved left against Aberdeen, he looked quite quick. He got us out when we were under the caution a wee bit. He drove forward. He got us out of some danger. But he's also showed that he's got that defensive side. If we do get pinned in, which he showed against Celtic, he can go and follow his man and do his job in the hard yards that way. So that would be my team. That would be what I'd like to see, that 4-3-3, flat midfield and 3 up front. But your wingers are going to work back with their right and left back. So he ends up like a 4-5-1, essentially. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what I would like to see, mate.
Some really good options in there, I think. Like Barami, he's been a bit frustrating for me lately because he's come out in a lot of games and when he's played in the first half and been poor. In Aberdeen, in the first half he was poor, but then in the second half he was really good. So like you say, he kind of shows you what he could do, and he had so much promise early on in the season as well. In Leon, he looked like he was going to be that level above.
I think every time he's played left wing, he's looked. That's the best games I've seen him play for us. But listen, I would be absolutely no hesitation to throw Curtis in there. Absolutely none after what I've seen from him at the weekend. I thought he'd done really, really well. Again, a hard venue against rugby players who are going to kick you and pull you all over the park. I thought he handled his own. He set up the goal for Egerman's goal. He nearly set him up twice. So I would have no hesitation in throwing him in there. Not at all.
Big shout there as well. I like I would love. I'm a big fan of touching on your choice of Danilo. I'm a big Danilo fan. I think he's a really good player. Like you say, he's not played a lot of football, and I think that's holding him back a little bit. His touch against Aberdeen was really, really poor, which I think would be the thing that would concern me. That I'm not sure if he's up to the fitness, but I would love to be able to play him as an option because I'm a big fan. But some great options there. Totally different look at it as well. So it's good to hear some other options. So the next thing we look at is the potential game changer. We had a quick chat about this prior, as I was potentially going to have two, one for each of us, but we've both picked the same player. Perhaps unsurprisingly, Václav Černý, 11 goals and 2 assists in the league, more if you include all tournaments. He is currently tied in second place, admittedly with about 1,200 people, but he's tied in second place for top scorer in the Europa League right now. So that's obviously showing he's played a big part in our success. And I think I'm sure you'll agree that if we're going to get somewhere on Thursday, then he's likely going to be a big part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it has to. I think everybody's going to need to have an 8, 9 out of 10 for us to get in out of it. But Černy's, I thought he was poor the first game. I took him off at half time. I thought he was off for nothing. When he did get the ball, he was trying to cut inside too much and it kept breaking down. I think he really needs to be on top of his game. His touch has to be there. When he's fouled at the right times, he has to go down instead of trying to maybe stay up. And we're going to need to play the dark arts a lot in this game for me. And try and get something with it. And I think Černy's going to be massive. And I'll give you my dark horse for it. For the game changer on our side, again, Yanis Hadji. And I know I'm a big Hadji fan. I've said that before, but I think just recently what we saw against Athletic Club last week, what we saw against Aberdeen, he came on, scored a screamer, sort of changed the game for us. And he's not a player who's ever going to hide it or not offer you anything. So, yeah, that's my dark horse to be a game changer since we picked the same guy.
Absolutely, no need to convince me there. Big Hadji fan, and you know, I think he's obviously shown in the most recent match. I definitely think he can be a game changer when he's at full pelt, which unfortunately we've not got to see enough of during his Rangers career. But okay, so the last thing then is just predictions for the match. So I usually just touch on the previous game here as well. So I predicted 3-1 for Rangers against Aberdeen. So unfortunately, that ended up being a 2-2 draw. So that's just an incorrect prediction from me on that one. I got the right result, wrong score for the first leg. I predicted 1-1. We also got 0-0 there. So for this one, I'm going to go with the optimistic Rooks. I want to think positive, as the kids say, manifest the victory. So I'm going to say 2-1 to Rangers. I think it'll be a tough game. I do think, as I say, Athletic Club, they're at home. They've got a lot of impetus to go on to try and get to the final with it being at their home ground again. So I do think that they'll come out all guns blazing and likely get a goal. But I'm going to give us the chance that we'll do just enough. So I'm envisioning another early goal. We've had some early goals and a few ties. They'll equalise, and then someone. I'm going to say Dessers because that'll annoy the most people. I think will get the winner just before the end. So, what about yourself? What's your prediction for the game?
Just before I touch on my prediction, Doug, I'll give you what I would love to see from us. I think when we go there, we kind of sit deep. I'd like to just go and see how we treated the Celtic game. Be on the front foot, try and put it under a wee bit of pressure to start with, to rattle them a little bit, get a few early corners. I'm not expecting us to press a full game, but we have to take our chances when to go and press and when to sit deep. I think that'll be key. If we sit like we done the first game, 2 banks of 4, they're going to pick us apart. They're at home. I think we have to be brave in that sense. Your 2-1's not a bad shout. I'm leaning more towards our first UEFA Cup run when we went to penalties a couple of times. So I'm going to go 1-8 on penalties.
Well, we've done that once, so hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I think we've had a lot of really good and positive away performances this season, so I think they can go into it confident that they can take it to them and hopefully make a really good game of it. As I think we've had I genuinely think we've had some of the most exciting matches in the tournament as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, will be watching this for that reason as well, because they're another side that've got a really good atmosphere at their stadium, a traditional club like ourselves. So should be an exciting one for all involved, but hopefully for us Bears, it pans out the way we want. As I say, if we can get through that, there will be a semi-final awaiting against either Manchester United or Lyon. Obviously, that game ended in a draw as well, so it's all to play for in that tie. Just before we finish, who do you think will get through?
I think Man United will go through.
Yeah, I think they might just manage it. I think they're at home for the second leg, aren't they? So
yeah, and I think Lyon scored like the last kick of the ball against them to equalise. So I've got a wee mate that lives in Manchester, and he said that Lyon were really, really poor, which surprised me because he's quite open and honest about how poor Man United are. So I think Man United will go through.
Either way, I think really interesting. Obviously, 2 teams that we've played already with very contrasting results. So I know who I definitely want to get through.
Let me ask you this, Doug. Do you think it'll end up a Rangers-Frankfurt final again?
Well, it could be. It could be. I was talking to one of my pals about that is a distinct possibility. So that would make for a great narrative.
That would be crazy.
The revenge tournament. I've also said I would love, if we do get through and got Man United, put them out, and then got Tottenham and beat them in the final. Just to have a Scottish team beat a bunch of English teams to win the tournament would be a great one as well. But as I say, a return to the Frankfurt, to playing Frankfurt would be an interesting one as well. Yes, indeed. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We've got a big game to try and win, but hopefully we do. So that's it from us on the Lowdown this evening. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Obviously, hopefully you enjoy the game on Thursday. We'll all be watching. We have I always say post first, pre and post match content as always for the game. So do tune into that. And then we've got another live show on Friday night where we will obviously be dissecting the game in more detail and obviously looking ahead at potentially a semi-final or 5 really boring games of non-consequence. So thanks again for tuning in. Thanks, Dylan, for joining me on this special.
Pleasure to be here, mate.
And just remember, everybody, that every night is Rangers Journal night. Goodbye.